I also would like to appreciate these games for being peak messy. I loved the drama.
The Canadian curling cheating, Shireen. I mean...
Oh, Shireen. What are you guys doing as a nation? Welcome to Burn It All Down, the feminist sports podcast you need. I'm Jessica Luther, and today I'm joined by Amira Rose Davis.
Hey.
Lindsay Gibbs.
Hello.
Shireen Ahmed.
Ramadan Mubarak, y'all.
And Brenda Elsey.
Hello.
So today on the show, we're going to wrap up the Olympics and preview the Paralympics. But first, we need to once again say thank you. As of this taping, we are close to hitting $24,000 on our Kickstarter, which had an initial goal of $10,000. So this is incredible. I feel like we can't overstate that. I feel like I don't even actually know how to adequately express our feelings about this level of support. Thank you to our amazing flamethrower family. The Kickstarter will run through March 4th, and if we can do it, we'd love to hit $29,000. We're just over $5,000 away from that. $29,000 would allow us to pay expenses and fees and have guaranteed funding for 7 episodes just like this one. So please continue to spread the word. One of the rewards for the Kickstarter is a virtual happy hour with the 5 of us. Everyone, yay! Everyone who has contributed $25 or more to the Kickstarter will get an invite to this happy hour. It will take place on March 13th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. So put that on your calendars. Lucky Friday the 13th in March at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. So there's still time to join us by contributing $25 or more to the Kickstarter. You have until March 4th. The more, the merrier. Link is in the show notes. Now, onto the show. The 2026 Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina are over. It felt both very fast and also somehow like a lifetime. It's impossible for me to just keep up with how much stuff is happening. So to wrap up this latest Olympic cycle, I would love to hear from each of my co-hosts about one storyline or an athlete, something that's going to stick with you from this particular Olympics. And we're going to let Amira kick it off.
I have to go with Alysa Liu and really the entire figure skating team. We talked a lot about them heading into the Olympics, and everything we said and were hoping for them, I feel like in many ways was exceeded. The idea of Alysa leaving the sport and talking about the toxicity, talking about not wanting to be told what to eat or how to train to a point of not feeling any joy in her craft, and then coming back on her terms, I think really resonated with me. I think many of us can work in spaces that are exhausting and draining. And as somebody who struggled a lot last year with more intense autoimmune flare-ups, as I was pushing really hard to meet deadlines and goals, it's just really inspiring to see refusal to let our jobs, our crafts, our things exact so much from us that we have nothing left to give, and to come back on her terms. And the winning is nice. I mean, I love to win, so that's nice. But really the joy, it was the joy for me. And it was the way that Amber and Ilya and Isabu and everybody talked so clearly about mental health was so refreshing. And even as Ilya was getting a lot of pile-on for not hitting the expectations that everybody built up, and talking about what that did and what that did for mental health. Amber's sister, both Texas girls, Amber's sister put out a great statement about, in defense of her sister, but also about the cost, the mental health cost of this and being yourself and choosing to do that. And all of them brought me so much joy, but also carried such deep, resonant messages of the joy of refusal as well, and the importance of mental health. So yeah, that was the thing that I think will stick with me, which, by the way, this question was really hard because I also wanted to talk about... I was going to say,
you've done really well.
I wanted to talk about Corey Thesey and curling, and I wanted to talk about the husband and wife who won aerials together, and I wanted to talk about emo.
Yeah.
But whatever, muzzle me.
You did a great job. Thank you, Amira Rose Davis.
You're welcome.
It will be really interesting to see 4 years from now if figure skating is affected by this moment and in what ways. Brenda, what about you?
I think it's impossible for me, I think, to separate myself or find any escapism in this moment in which ICE is terrorizing the United States. And when many of the foot soldiers of ICE are immigrants and children of immigrants as well. So there's a lot of different tension and incoherence for me in identities and the idea of national belonging, especially during this tournament that is entirely based on nations and the fiction of nations. So two of the people that stuck with me or whose stories stuck with me are Eileen Gu, freestyle skier. Her mom is from Beijing, if you haven't been keeping up with it, and discusses in all seriousness.
Honestly, don't know how you could have avoided it, but yes, go ahead.
And did you know she's a model? Because that's what everyone...
You'd be really amazed at what I can avoid.
That's fair.
You know, and freestyle skiing is normally one of those things. But I did get really sort of wrapped up in her story. And in all seriousness, she discusses being made fun of as a kid for being mixed race, both in China, getting mad, weeping as a child when a Chinese taxi driver makes fun of her accent, and then was furious when her U.S. identity is questioned as well. And so I think about her pushing back when reporters question her loyalties and who she represents. Then I think about Lucas Pinheiro Bratton, right, who's Norwegian and Brazilian, and switching to represent Brazil, which gives Brazil, you know, this winter gold medal, which is very exciting. And I love this quote he had, which is, "Norway taught me how to be an athlete, how to brave the cold. Brazil taught me how to be myself." And so I think these are, as a person who's, you know, literally identifies as an anarcho-feminist, I don't like fuck with nations. You know what I mean? Like, they're fictions that I think are inherently violent. And these are embodied examples of how someone can beautifully represent a nation and challenge it at the same time.
Absolutely. I love that. And also the discourse around it was so disrupted so fast around Eileen when her competitor was also a Asian from Stanford who competed for a different country, which shows like the discourse is dumb. But then also on the other hand, all of the Norwegians who were falling over themselves to be like, he's not Brazilian. And then he posted that picture with Colin Kaepernick. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, this person of color, like, he's Brazilian. Anyways, that's
when he thumbud as he was ending his race,
that should have cued them in, but it took Colin and his afro.
Yeah.
During these games, I actually did a piece for CBC Olympics on a lot of non-traditional winter sports that are being represented by people with hyphenated identities and dual nationalities. And I was really on that. I was really interested in Stevenson Savard, the cross-country skier from Haiti. Like, for me, that put me down this rabbit hole. And then I started researching in Canada and how many people in Canada, or like Canadians raised here or otherwise living here, are playing. In fact, there's hockey players. The only hockey player from Quebec who's playing in the tournament, because Quebec has been a product of a lot of hockey players from men's side, is playing on Team Italy. So it's just like really interesting how people are using the opportunity. First of all, we all know borders are stupid and man-made, but it's just really interesting in this particular scene, in this ecosystem, what that looks like.
I love listening to y'all. All right, Lindsay, what are you going to keep with you?
Yeah, this was really hard for me as well, but I think Lindsey Vonn, I mean, she skied for 13 seconds, and that was the length of her competition. But I really do think years from now, I'm still going to remember this entire arc that she had at these games, retiring from the sport in 2019, coming back in 2024 with a partial knee replacement, qualifying for the Olympics at age 41, and coming into the games in good form. Like, she was winning races on the World Cup circuit. This was not a wild card, like in tennis where, they'll give a legend a wild card to come back because of the name recognition. No, she earned her spot on the team flat out. The week before, she ruptures her ACL, fully ruptures, and decides to still ski. And so there's all of this talk in the lead up of, is she stealing someone's spot now? Which, no, it was her spot. She earned it, There was a lot of anger towards her for even daring to go. But on the training runs, she looked good. I think she got third in one of the training runs. Like,
she was top 3,
she could have medaled in this event. And then, what do you know, 13 seconds into this, she, takes a gate, just, millimeters, clips the gate. And it really didn't have anything to do with her ACL injury. It was just a fluke thing that happens in alpine skiing because of the margins and because Lindsey Vonn doesn't know any way to go other than full out for her dreams. And, I woke up, it was one of the few events I actually woke up early for. I'll be honest, I didn't do a lot of really early morning wake ups, but I'd wanted to see this live. And then hearing her on the ground screaming in agony, not getting up, not knowing when, it was terrifying. And, to see her have to be airlifted off, and it took a few days for her to even come to Instagram. And what we got was a post that was pure Lindsey Vonn. It seems like she broke her leg and her ankle. She revealed recently that she almost lost her leg. Her leg could have had to be amputated. This break was so bad. And it was actually only because of the doctor that she had with her, specifically because of the ACL rupture. That the doctor she had with her was the one who saved her leg. And she said she doesn't think her leg would have been saved if he wasn't there. But,
And she had compartment syndrome, which is really dangerous. And I had a bilateral fasciotomy, which she had, and it is dealing with nerves, and it fillets your leg on 4 different points to release the pressure because of the buildup. It's really dangerous. And I just wanted to add that because compartment syndrome is horrific.
It just has me thinking a lot about, like, I don't like athletes competing injured. I usually don't like that we glorify this, right? But do I like that she got to make the choice for herself? And it's had me confused a little bit and thinking and second guessing things and wondering, like, what is the right way to push ourselves to the limit, and who are we to police that with other people? And also, though, where do we find those extra gears within herself? And I know I've rambled for too long. But I want to read some of her words that she wrote. This is her first Instagram post back. She said that while yesterday did not end the way I had hoped, and despite the intense physical pain it cost, I have no regrets. Standing in the starting gate yesterday was an incredible feeling that I will never forget. Knowing I stood there having a chance to win was a victory in and of itself. I also knew that racing was a risk. It always was and always will be an incredibly dangerous sport. Similar to in ski racing, we take risks in life. We dream, we love, we jump, and sometimes we fall. Sometimes our hearts are broken. Sometimes we don't achieve the dreams we know we could have, but that is also the beauty of life. We can try. I tried, I dreamt, I jumped. I hope if you take anything away from my journey, it's that all of you have the courage to dare greatly. Life is not too short. Life is too short not to take chances on yourself, because the only failure in life is not trying. And I don't know. Some words I'll remember.
There's a part of me that's like, it's also just unfair she could write like that.
Yeah.
Which reminds, there was a piece of The Defector by Georgia Clopeville titled The Suffering of Lindsey Vonn, which is one of the most amazingly beautiful pieces I've read in a very long time.
Oh, I need to find it.
And it really, Georgia was a elite athlete herself, so she's writing from that perspective, but is talking about like the way that saints often suffer bodily, but parishioners are not asked to do the same, and like uses that as the comparison with elite athletes and like sort of the holiness of like trying to compete on this elite level in human bodies that are not holy. And it's just really so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I wrote Georgia to just be like, thanks for writing this amazing thing. So I highly recommend people read that too. So I would like to talk about moms. So the very first gold medal that I saw for the games was Francesca Lollobrigida winning the 3,000 meter speed skating. She set an Olympic record in the process. It was the first gold that Italy won in Italy. So it was super exciting. It was also incredibly cute because Lollobrigida has a 2-year-old son, Tommaso, and he is adorable and he is chaotic in the way that 2-year-olds are, made for great television. I didn't realize, though, until reading a piece by friend of the show, Motoko Rich, that Francesca and Tommaso were a huge talking point in Italian media after this. So Rich writes, quote, amid the support, there was still plenty of criticism, scoffing at Tommaso's naughty behavior that threw shade at Miss Lollobrigida's parenting skills, jibes at her husband for not taking control and removing his son from the scene. Even the positive reaction expressed that implicit surprise at a female champion who was a successful parent. So Lollobrigida told Rich that she hopes to show that you can be a mother and an athlete. And I just think that combo, the mother athlete, the mother Olympian, will be something that I'll remember from these games because Lollobrigida was certainly not alone. So our fave, Alana Myers-Taylor, won, celebrated with her 2 boys and her nanny, consistently mentioned in interviews about the entire village that got her to that finish line. Her teammate was standing there with her, Callie Humphreys, celebrating her medals with her 2-year-old. There were curling moms, skeleton moms, hockey moms, and skiing moms. There's a woman, and I didn't realize this until today, Sarah Schlepper, who was 47, competed, and so did her son. Lasse Gaxiola.
In the same discipline.
I missed that.
They're both skiers. They became the first mother-son duo at the Olympics. So like, I just love to see it. I love to see women athletes like doing the thing that they were told it is impossible for them to do, and there to be so many numbers of them and so visible in this Olympics. Like I'm going to hold on to that one. So Shireen, bring us home.
2 of the main ones, you have obviously all taken the ones that I wanted to talk about. 2 that were not mentioned that I thought were really important were Sturla Holmlagred decides on his bronze medal win to apologize to his ex-girlfriend for breaking up with her. I'm never gonna forget that, ever. And she wants no part of it. So that's one thing I will never forget.
No shit. That man is a walking red flag.
So he won bronze in this particular biathlon, but he won gold for not reading the room and being an absolute dipshit. And then the other thing, obviously, that occupied a lot of my brain space, and I talked with our friend of the show, Jules Boykoff, Dr. Jules Boykoff, was Vladislav Hraskovich's in the helmet. And for me, that was just really, it was so interesting because it was this attempt to, well, you can't be too political, but it was just to see the way that the IOC contorted itself.
So that was the Ukrainian skeleton who had the pictures of dead children who had died in the war.
His teammates and his community who he was memorializing on his helmet, and he was disqualified for that. But at the same time, Christy Coventry went and met him and cried and was like, I tried to find a way. So he was disqualified, but his credentials were not stripped. So he could stay and enjoy the fun, but he couldn't compete. So Mans was out of there. And ironically, Ukraine awarded him a prize when he returned home that was the equivalent of what he would have won had he won gold. So it was a civilian honor that he was granted. Anyways, those are the things that are going to stay with me. But I did actually put down in the doc, and sorry, I pivoted, Jess, just like a firm doc, is climate change. And this is something that I didn't hear about enough. I actually came across one article from the EP about climate change destroying glaciers and how it's affecting particularly things like skiing. It was not just Lindsey Vonn, it was Michaela Schifrin and an Italian skier as well by the name of Federica Brignone. And I think that these particular athletes are not doing this in a performative sense. These are athletes that have spoken about this particular thing before. And I don't know why, and myself included, it wasn't registering on the media as the way that I would have liked it to see. Philip Marquis is a Canadian retired Olympian who did moguls, and he said something that when I was looking it up, he said, we basically have lost a month and a half of training on home soil and are having to travel to chase more than the snow. So the team now trains in South America instead of Whistler, BC. So he's speaking about this as a global problem. Imagine having to leave Canada because the glaciers are not glaciering.
It's not cold enough in Canada. Yeah, yeah.
Right. There are fewer and fewer, and then he continues to say there are fewer and fewer places around the world to get consistent natural snowfall. This is an absolute crisis. And I would ask people to look up the work of Dr. Maddie Orr, also friend of the show, she's a sports psychologist who does work on this. And yeah, climate change is so real. And as much as we love the Olympics, we can't have the Winter Olympics without any mountain snow. We just can't do it. And look, I get it. Dubai Mall has like a snow mountain, and I get that people that were aspiring Olympians, qualified there. That's all great, but no, it's not. So let's stop destroying the earth so we can enjoy this winter sports.
We're
Absolutely.
going to come back around to this with the Paralympics because yes, there were issues with climate. Yeah.
Can I just say, as we transition out of this, I also would like to appreciate these games for being peak messy. I loved the drama. I had so many non-sports friends so invested in all the dramatic storylines that they were texting me at obscene hours about it. But
The
this
Canadian
one tweet,
curling cheating. Shireen.
Absolutely, but
I
this
mean-
Oh,
one-
Shireen, what are you guys doing as a nation?
but here's the thing.
There was
about
so
it.
much pearl clutching in Canada because Mark Kennedy said the F word that it was wild to me. I'm like,
But here's the thing about all of this scandal is that all of the people involved in peak scandal also made out in this Olympic Games. So Canada curling won after what one journalist called Boopgate. The cheating confessional by athlete that Shireen just mentioned won 5 medals. The credit card fraud by athlete, who is the person who committed credit card fraud on her teammate's card.
that was
forgot about
Julia
that,
Simon. Julia Simon of France.
She won
Wyland.
3 golds. Her teammate, who she stole from, finished in
All
80th.
worth it then. All
And the
worth it.
Norwegian crotch parachute ski jumper won bronze. So, in conclusion, messiness and scandal might have been the tagline for these games, and apparently it paid off.
Before we completely leave the Olympics behind, we want to remind you that we do have bonus content available. Amira, can you tell us about that?
I absolutely can. Jess interviewed her friend Steph Krugnola, a former professional figure skater and judge, about figure skating in Milan. And I have an interview with long-term friend of the show and Olympic expert Jules Boykoff about the intersection of sports and politics at these Olympic Games. We hope to have at least one more interview for you all before we totally wrap up our coverage.
So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page to catch all this bonus content. Because of how we publish the show now, it's easiest to get it up onto YouTube first. Some bonus content will also be in your audio feed, but not everything. In addition to our Olympic bonus stuff, Amira and Brent have 2 great conversations at our YouTube channel. You must go listen to these. One where they analyze Bad Bunny's incredible Super Bowl halftime show, and a more recent discussion about Vinicius Jr. and racism in soccer. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of it. Okay, so while the Olympics might be over, the Paralympics are on the horizon. The Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics start on March 6th and run until March 15th. There are 6 overarching disciplines: alpine skiing, biathlon, cross-country skiing, ice hockey, snowboard, and wheelchair curling. There will be 79 gold medal events, 35 for women, 39 for men, and 5 in mixed events. Your first chance to watch Paralympians go for gold is March 7th in downhill skiing and the biathlon. Before we get into our preview, I just want to say, sports media, you're letting us down. It is so hard to find information about the Paralympics. We are going to do our absolute best, but just stay up to date on the Paralympics as we get closer to the start. So Brenda, what is something that you're going to be paying attention to going into these games?
It's not the happiest of stories, probably. So it's good that you start with me, and then we'll just build up to our excitement about these games.
But this is so important. This is such important context.
I'm concerned in the midst of the other Olympics, the IOC sort of quietly announced that 6 athletes would be permitted to compete under the Russian flag. And
Which they weren't allowed to do at the Olympics.
Right. Belarusian athletes also have been banned and are reportedly said to be able to compete. There are 4 of them in the conversation. These were banned in 2022 after the invasion of Ukraine. However, they were banned before that because of doping allegations, and that hasn't, or proof of doping, which hasn't really been resolved in this whole conversation. So cognitive dissonance in terms of this has been on full display as Israel competes post-2023 and U.S. warships creep toward Iran with seemingly no pushback or conversation. So in the IPC statement, they confirmed that there would be 2 in para-alpine skiing, 2 in para-cross-country skiing, and 2 probably in para-snowboard. All of this is a little hazy coming out. And then cross-country skiing would be where the Belarusian athletes are coming from, all of them, if they go. But again, this is all sort of a story that's unfolding. So Shireen just talked about the beautiful Ukrainian helmet that was banned as a tribute to soldiers killed in action because of Russian invasion. But Russia can compete at the Paralympics, and any mental gymnastics you want to do, there's no way to answer that and resolve that isn't an ableist and essentialist answer. There's just no way to answer it. And at the very outset, before the Olympics began, we talked about President Coventry, and how we thought she might do as president. And just from my perspective, this is massively disappointing. There should not be a way to, I don't know what the washing is. Ableist washing? I don't know how you call it when you use an event like this and you show that you don't take it as seriously as the other Olympics. So I don't know what kind of bullshit washing that is. It's like, but that's what this feels like. And it feels like a really serious disservice. So I'm watching that, and I'm just watching them say whatever bullshit they have to say, and it's kind of driving me crazy.
Thank you, Bren. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Seriously. Amira, how about you? What are you thinking about?
We're gonna keep a little depressed first for a second, because
which is shocking to burn it all down, fans. I know. Yeah, we know.
Sorry.
I know we're usually where you come for your daily dose of optimism, but
so yeah, I'm going to continue to talk about climate change, particularly because not only of the already existing ice issues that we saw during the Olympics, especially towards the end of speed skating, the ice in that arena was
actual ice, not the group ice.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was melting to the point where everybody was falling, and including one particularly bad fall in which a Polish woman speed skater got this close to losing her eye as the blade cut her face, resulting in a facial fracture.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, they had to pause just to clean the blood. So they could keep
there was
skating.
a lot
of blood. Yeah. Ugh.
And so we're already having ice issues because of these temperatures. And along with what Shireen was saying, and that what we previewed before the games, the Winter Olympics continues to be on the front line of climate change in sports, because they're literally losing places to practice, but also to hold the games in the future. A study that was done in 2024 assessed that out of 93 possible locations to hold the games that had the infrastructure to do it, that could have enough water to make the snow, that had all of the other climate agreements that you need, out of those possible 93 locations, only 52 of them might reliably be able to host by February 2050. But for the Para Games, it's even more pressing, because out of those same 93 locations, only 17 to a maximum of 31 would have what is required to host the Paralympics. If we add on to that the Paralympics take place 2 weeks after the Olympic Games, and we're already having discussions that the Olympic Games being in mid-February need to move up because of the rising temperatures producing more and more issues, we're looking at the Paralympics always still being 2 weeks behind that. So the concern about climate change not only is most felt at the Winter Olympics, but most felt specifically at the Winter Paralympics, that are not only closer to warmer temperatures have more requirements for infrastructure and less possible locations to host the games in the future, which will put some very, very intense questions above in front of the IOC, which we've already talked about. Brenda already said don't really seem to give a damn, which is are they going to decouple the Paralympic Games with the Winter Olympic Games? Are they going to move it around? Are they going to have them simultaneously or in the same time? Are we going to be in a situation in the next few cycles, right, where we're all of a sudden talking about, well, this site that we are having it at can host the Olympics, but cannot host the Paralympic Games because the drop off from 52 potential sites to 17 is drastic. And of those sites, I have to mention that many of them are also not usable because of geopolitics. Russia has many of the sites that could be usable because of the temperatures in the infrastructure, but nobody is doing that right now, right?
Wow.
And so
Maybe that's why they want to
dire.
bring them back.
right,
Yeah,
I
maybe.
mean,
Shit. Wow, this is really dire.
So
Man.
yes, it's not good. It's not good. This is an awkward transition, but I wanted to find some joy.
Do your silver lining. Do
my my silver lining of this is I wanted to talk about the mascots, and I'm really looking forward to the Paralympic mascot. So for those who don't know, every Olympic Games and Paralympic Games has official mascot. And if you ever go to the Olympic Museum in Lausanne, Switzerland, there's like a whole display of like all of them. They're a little creepy, not going to lie, but I still get great joy. So this year's mascots are Tina and Milo or Milo. They are named for Cortina, Tina, and Milo for Milan. And
so cute.
Absolutely. So Tina and Milo are siblings. They are the first official Gen Z mascots of the Olympic and Paralympic Games. That's important, apparently. They were drawn by Italian students from 6 to 14. So Tina was the mascot for the Olympic Games. They are both stoats, which I had to look up. And I'm going to be honest, I looked it up and I still don't really understand. So I'm just going to read what a stoat is. Maybe you'll get it. A stoat is also known as a Eurasian ermine, which is a species of mustelid native to Eurasia. Okay, cool. I'm not clear.
They're
still.
cute.
They're cute is what you need to know.
At least the mascot version.
And are these the stuffed animals that they're giving the hockey players?
Yes.
So everybody gets this. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. So Tina was the Olympic mascot. That's who you saw. Tina has a white coat and moved from the mountains of Italy to the city to explore new things. But now it's time to focus on Tina's brother, Milo, or Milo, depending how you say Milan. So I guess Milo. But Tina's brother, Milo, is the Paralympic mascot. He has a brown coat and he was born without a leg, but he uses his tail to help him walk. And the student designers said that they're symbols of innocence and purity, and their different coats change color to represent the duality and diversity. And also, both of these stoats are animals that would be drastically impacted by climate change. And so this is my mascot from Paris. This is the Paralympic mascots, and you see it with the prosthetic leg. I'm really wanting to get a Tina and especially a Milo. Because I just love that these Italian children drew them and their backstories and their Gen Z siblings out to take the city, but also to tie it to their like how they're threatened by climate change, and also the resilience that both of them are symbolizing, but also to see how capable Milo is chasing after his sister in the big Italian landscape, is my joy, the silver lining that I'm hanging on to in these dire times.
I'm so proud of you for saying nice things about a mascot.
Yeah, I know.
You've really come a long way.
They're small and not as creepy. When they're all together in that display, I'm scared. But I think I can manage mascots that are this size.
You're so cute, Amira. I love
stuffed
that
animals.
whole thing.
We want little stuffed animals.
She needs
She's not.
All right, Shireen, let's do some sports. What are you going to be
Let's do
watching?
some sports. So I fell into the curling hole, as we know that I would, and I'm so excited for wheelchair curling because paracurling is so interesting. And what a lot of people don't know is that they don't actually sweep with brooms. So what happens with paracurling and wheelchair curling in particular is that they have these type of sticks that are put on the granite, they're put on the rock. So they push off with the stick. And another really fun fact that I learned, I interviewed Kalinda Joseph, who is a wheelchair curler from Ottawa, Ontario, and she will be representing Team Canada, and she's 60. And I just love that. And I was like rechecking the birthday when I talked to her. I'm doing a profile of her. I was like, "You're 60." And she's like, "Yes." I'm like, wait, chill. I'm not much younger than you are. We're all good here. But just that she was talking about her children and how proud they are. She came from wheelchair basketball. So her transition is really, really cool. I'm also really interested for another reason. I had done a story about Team Canada's curling outfits and how they were done by Anishinaabe, an Indigenous artist named Shelby Gagnon. So I found out, and it was Kalinda that told me that the drawings that she did for those, that Shelby had done for those kits, she actually made decals out of them to put on the sticks that they're going to use to push off. So instead of just putting black sticks, they're going to be covered in Indigenous art for Team Canada.
Oh, wow.
So I love that in addition to all the drama. Now, look, y'all, we saw what happened in the global fiascos that can come of curling. Am I expecting and anticipating that level of drama? Wheelchair curling?
One could hope.
No, I hope so.
If Canada's involved, then yes.
Yeah, these days.
The shady characters that Canada are. But I think more than anything, like the way she was talking gave me this incredible sense of, in addition to very fierce competition of these athletes, is the camaraderie that is actually felt here. And I really hope, I know that in Canada, CBC Gem will be streaming a lot, and on YouTube rather, but I really hope people try to tune in. And as Jess had already mentioned, that it's tough to find it, but you can find it. So if you can, please try, because they're just more drama, more excitement, more competition, and I'm so here for it. You will find me very much around the curling, and I'll be checking out the slopes, and I'll be checking out the snowboard, which I think leads to you, Jess.
Yeah. Look, I am a simple person, and I just love these cross events. I love it when they do it with the kayaks. I love it when they do it with the snowboard. So I am looking forward to more snowboard cross. This is the 4th Winter Paralympics to have the snowboard cross. It's just like the Olympics, or almost like a F1, where they do like the qualifying runs individually, and then they're placed into groups of 4 for the elimination rounds, and then they just fucking race each other, and it is wild, and you never know what's going to happen. I love it every single time. Every time. I love to watch the race. There will be 3 men's events in snowboard cross, 1 for women. I do want to say I don't actually know what events exactly these 2 are going to be in, but there are 2 snowboarders. They're a married Dutch couple that are going to compete. It's Lisa Bunskoten and Chris Voss, and they are the parents of a 2-year-old. And I'm just like, go Team Netherlands. Like, that's so cute. I can't handle it. All right, Linz, tell us what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, well, first I do want to flag that U.S. is going for, it doesn't have any medals in wheelchair curling. So that's a big storyline to follow. I know Amira is going to talk about one of the athletes in a little bit, so I won't get too far into that. But that's a storyline I'm following, because I don't like that. I don't like empty places in the medal chest. I'm not as competitive
for the U.S.
For the U.S. I'm not as competitive as some of my co-hosts. But
you still have it in you.
But it's I like a story. It's a clean storyline to follow, so I got that. But honestly, as we've gotten more into the Paralympics as a team these past, few years, and as I've been watching them more, because I'll be honest, I didn't watch them a lot growing up or before.
They used to be really hard to watch.
They were really hard to watch. They weren't
they
accessible.
Were almost yeah, exactly.
One of the things, we've learned more about is for visually impaired athletes, the guide athletes that work with them. And I felt like I knew a lot about the guide runners and things like that in the summer games, but I wasn't quite as sure how it worked in the winter games. So maybe everyone else knows this, but if you're like me and you're not aware, I thought I would just kind of share a little bit of what I learned. which so there's 3 disciplines for visually impaired: cross-country skiing, alpine skiing, which of course then has a lot of different events within it, and then also the biathlon. And the way it works, because like when you're running on the track, you're together and they're right next to you, you know? But in skiing, that you're not skiing next to each other, they're skiing in front of you. And so they use Bluetooth two-way radio systems, or
Whoa.
in the past, there's also been speakers like on the back of their helmets so the person can hear. And in like the cross country and places like that where the crowds are right beside them, they have the crowds be silent so you can actually hear your guide, which I found so fascinating.
That's like the triple jump, or
Yeah.
like what they do in the summer games, where everyone has to be quiet because they yell to what's the right word, to tell them when to go. Yeah,
Right. And so it's so interesting, you know, the guide skis slightly ahead, and then it's just essentially Bluetoothing, getting, you know, which direction to turn, how fast to go, and trying to get the athlete to follow their rhythm. And obviously so much training and trust goes into that. I mean, they're skiing in like alpine, like 60 miles per hour down these hills, and you can't see. And some of them have some sight, but you're visually impaired. Like that is terrifying to me.
I know. If you think like sighted skiing is impressive, this just feels like it's just amazing that we don't celebrate this more for how
Yeah.
much we celebrate
Yeah, like
able
it's just
versions of this.
It's absolutely incredible. And you know, so this verbal radio communication is the only thing that they're allowed to do, but of course the guide does get a medal as well. And they have to remain like in slalom no more than 1 gate apart. So there's a rule that they have to, you know, basically be skating the same speed, which is just mind-boggling. And then in biathlon, Brenda, I thought you would find this interesting. They have a rifle that has a beep that has an audio clue for when they're aiming. I just find this fascinating. And also another thing at the Paralympics that you'll see sometimes is guide dogs. Now the guide dogs don't actually compete, but they are there. A lot of them have them kind of credentialed, I guess, as guide dogs. And there are places for the guide dogs to, you know, be taken care of at events, because they're a big part of helping the athletes, especially the visually impaired athletes, like just navigate from point A to point B in these spaces, you know, in these mountainous hills. And, you know, these dogs become a big part of the training team. And there was actually a Paralympian 4 years ago who brought her dog onto the podium with her and made sure her dog got a medal.
We need more
And
images of that.
So we will
need
put a
dog
link
medals.
in the show notes. Yeah.
Love that. That's great.
And so, yeah, I'm going to be looking out for just not the athletes, but also, well, the sighted athletes and the guide athletes. And I just think, like, what more beautiful show of just, you know, sportsmanship and teamwork than something like that.
You can't really beat it, honestly. Okay, so to wrap up Paralympics, we're gonna go around, mention an athlete that we want you all to be paying attention to. So Amira, you're up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with Lindsay and Shireen about my anticipation for wheelchair curling. And I really wanted to highlight Oyuna Uranchimeg, who is a repeat Olympian. She made her Olympic debut at age 43 in the 2022 Games. She is an administrator who works at the Emerging Media Department at the University of St. Thomas in the Twin Cities, so another Minnesotian. So she was born in Mongolia and was visiting her friend in Minnesota many years ago when she was in a really devastating car accident that paralyzed her. And due to the spinal cord injury she had and the level of care she was able to access in Minnesota, she ended up staying in Minnesota to rehabilitate there, which was a very devastating decision. She talked about how deeply depressed she was. Her son was 6 years old at the time in Mongolia. So it was also a decision that required a separation for many years until she was able to visit and move. And one of the things that helped her in her recovery was her friend one day brought her to the curling center in Minnesota where Team USA curling was practicing. And she said that it helped her be reborn. She talks about Minnesota and the United States as the place that gave her rebirth through her discovery of curling in this thing. After 8 years, her son joined her in Minnesota, as well as an adopted niece 2 years later. And like I said, at 43, she made her Olympic debut. She is now 50 something.
One?
Yes. I think she might have just had yeah. So she's in her early 50s and has is now returning to the Olympic Games. She will be competing in mixed doubles for curling and hopefully breaking that medalist streak that Lindsay mentioned.
And this is the first year for mixed doubles curling,
yes,
I believe. So.
Same in both sports, which actually, and I've said this to anybody who would listen, mostly Jess at obscene times at 4 a.m. Poor Jessica wakes up to a bundle of text messages from me because I do get up at 2
voice
a.m.
notes.
And voice notes. Like a lot of them are about
Inner
curling.
feelings.
A lot of feelings. But the thing I like about mixed double curling is like I really like the communication that has to happen between two people versus when you have 4 people competing. And also I can't watch the men's teams because the way they communicate to each other does not work for me and a lot at all. So I'm very excited to watch her compete and to watch her journey. And just like we were talking about people who are kicking ass at all stages of their life and another mother to boot, I'm very excited. I also really wanted to shout out Malik Jones, who is a 23-year-old sled hockey player. This is his second Olympics as well. He's been playing para sled hockey since he was 7 years old.
Wow.
And he is one of the few Black Americans on Team USA for the Paralympics. And I just feel like, especially this week, if you've been paying attention to any discourse around the BAFTAs and Tourette's, I feel like it's very important to center members of the Black disabled community and folks who are at the nexus of those intersecting identities. And also, like I said about the Winter Games, anytime you find a little melanid on the slopes or in the rink or on the ice, just gonna grab on and cheer for it. So I'm cheering for you, Malik Jones.
Thank you, Amira. Bren, who are you going to be cheering for?
Well, that's a great segue because I'm also cheering for a person of color from Brazil and very on brand. I figured I would just stay in the only South Americans in these Winter Games. Aline dos Santos Rocha. And here's the wild thing about her. She's in winter and summer Paralympics. So she does all the Olympics.
All the Olympics.
And she's a sitting skier, right? And then she's a wheelchair racer. She came in 3rd in the wheelchair marathon in Berlin in 2021, set the record. So she made history when 2018 Pyeongchang, right? Games, Pyeongchang. You remember this? We did the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember this.
Okay. And then she did, so that was 2018. And then she did 2016 in Rio, but didn't make the final cut. But she like technically was at the Olympics. Okay. Then 2022. And now this one.
Wow.
For winter. And so
unreal. That's unreal to me.
And she tried for Paris. I think she didn't make the final cut, but she's expected to be in LA.
Okay.
So what is that? Like she's like
how?
She's like, there's no snow. She says, yes, it is kind of a challenge that there is no snow.
Minor details, yeah.
She says she practices on what she calls a caver board on the dirt. And you can go to the Paralympic site, which is really poor in terms of information because it's like 6 years outdated, but you could still see a video of her. I see Amira trying to say the same thing.
It's so outdated. That's the most ridiculous
Yeah.
thing. Sorry, I'm very
It's
mad.
infuriating.
Yeah, no, it is infuriating. And but you could see a video of her training on this dirt, and she says, "Well, dirt is better than pavement in terms of snow."
I guess if you're making a
approximating
hierarchy.
snow, and but she just goes all year round for all the Olympics and the marathons, and I'm just like, how do you dig deep? It's not like you're getting millions of dollars. It's not like you're getting tons of attention, as we know. Thank you, nothing IOC, right? And wow, that takes a lot of personal just determination and grit. It's coming from inside. You're not getting a lot of external oomph.
Yeah.
So hats off to her.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you, Brad. Lindsay, who are you going to be watching for?
Okay, I am going to be watching for Laurie Stevens. She is headed to her 6th Paralympic Games.
That's wild.
Yeah, so she's 41 years old, and she's on the sitting alpine ski team. She was born with spina bifida, and so started skiing at the age of 12 and racing at 15. She has 7 Paralympic medals, 2 gold, 2 silver, and 3 bronze. Sorry, 3 bronze.
It's like, wait.
Blonde.
Sorry. Notably, to talk about, Brenda, I mean, a lot of para athletes do both summer and winter. It's wild. It's really incredible.
Really?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
They do.
Like, I'm not trying
this is
to like minimize
news to me.
because
No,
it's that
I'm just like,
amazing.
what
but
the
yeah,
heck?
like
Okay.
I don't want to say a lot, but it's yeah,
More than you would
they do.
assume.
More than
I
you
was
would
like,
assume.
those aren't even related. Like,
Yeah.
So she's also on that note. So she has 2 U.S. para swimming records in the 100-meter
Whoa.
backstroke
Whoa.
and 200-meter backstroke. I don't think she's actually competed at a summer Paralympics, but she's competed in the U.S. in swimming.
It
So
almost makes me mad that
Yeah.
people are that
And again,
good. at
swimming
lots of
and
things.
skiing not the same.
Yeah.
But if you're not familiar with sitting skiing, it is terrifying to watch. Like, think about going down a steep hill in a sled, except it's a blade. Like, you're on a blade. You're on just one ski. You're just sitting on one ski. The amount of core strength it must take to not just start tumbling. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even think I could sit like still on one ski. Like, I don't even think I would have the balance for that. And they're going down these mountains so quickly.
Fast, yeah.
So it's really incredible. And I'll be honest, I turned 40 this year. And so I'm really big into finding athletes that are older than me and really cheering them on. So Laurie Stevens, on. And I do want to mention, Mira was talking about sled hockey, and I don't know where this fits into our discussion, and maybe we'll do a bonus on it, but still no women's sled hockey in the Olympics. So,
Oh, that's right. We've talked about this in the
We've talked about this
past.
before.
Yeah,
we've
we've
interviewed
talked
people,
about
but I just want to
Ugh.
highlight it again because
Lindsay,
it's
are you sure you
endlessly
turned 40
frustrating.
this year? I thought you turned 39 this year.
Amir, I'm very sure.
Okay.
What year did you think
Lindsay-
I was born?
Lindsay, there's 3 people
1987.
on this team that are older
86
than you.
maybe.
You don't have to go far to look for older people.
I know, it's not.
Right.
We're
yes.
here.
And you
here.
all are amazing.
And
But
Shireen found someone actually older than us, which is the wildest.
yeah, that's
40
that's
is
We're
really-
still doing it. We're
New
still
30,
doing it.
I hear. You guys are so amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
you're going to be
No,
part
no.
of the 40 Club too.
I'm excited. I'm doing great. My life has never been better. Things are good.
Oh.
But that doesn't mean I can't still look for some inspiration.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel
and
you
make the
100%.
Olympics and go to the Olympics.
No, that
Yeah.
I have no desire
It
for
could be in
that.
your future. So I'm going to be super on theme here. So I want to tell you about Brenna Huckabee from the US. She's 30, a mother of two. So we have another mother Paralympian, and already has 3 gold medals and a bronze in snowboarding. She's the most successful para snowboarder to date. She's going to try again to get on the podium in both the cross and the bank slalom. Huckabee lost her leg due to cancer when she was a teenager. A former gymnast, she went on a rehabilitation ski trip with her hospital. She was in Utah, and she told People magazine that she chose snowboarding because, quote, it reminded me of a balance beam, which is like, to me, why would you want to recreate that? But she said, it reminded me of a balance beam. And at that time of my life, I would have given anything to have just a piece of my old life back. And echoing what you were saying, Amira, about the curler, like she said, her mom, when she saw her on the snowboard, was like, that was the first time you like lit up after you lost your leg, right? Like you were returning to yourself. And this is not important, but I'm going to mention it. She has incredible hair. She's a brunette, but she's taken these pieces by her face and they're like dyed this like electric purple. So they just look cool as hell. So anyway, I'm excited to watch her compete, and she'll become the most decorated para snowboarder. Shireen, wrap it up for us.
Yeah, I want to just shout out. First of all, I know I'm not the historian on this, but I did want to shout out trailblazer Bonnie St. John, who was the first African American woman Paralympian to win a gold medal, did it in 1984. So I just wanted to shout that out for people that are interested in that history. I am actually going to be, I look for a Pakistani Paralympian for the winter. They have never officially competed in the Paralympics, in the Winter Paralympics. So I was interested in that because there is paraskiing there, but they haven't qualified to make the Paralympics. So I'm actually shouting out Molly Jepson, who's 26 from West Vancouver, who does para-alpine. And really, like, just as you mentioned, incredible athlete all around. She suffers from congenital limb deficiency, which meant that her left hand was born without digits. So she learned to ski at 2 with 2 skis and 1 pole. Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. And she like loves it. Has had, the one thing about Jepson is that she's had a lot of injuries. She's torn her ACL a couple times, as skiers often do. But in 2019, she was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which made her miss a season. So in addition to that, she's become an advocate for Crohn's disease in Canada, and she's one of their ambassadors, just to sort of share and educate public on that. And she's just somebody who I'm really looking forward to and to seeing compete. And I'm excited. I already talked about Kalinda Joseph and, Team Canada, but I just wanted to say that, yeah, nothing more to add. Cut that, Martin. I'm just excited. I don't want to ramble. So let's go.
Yeah. This is so exciting. So the Paralympics, again, they begin on March 6th. We'll have a link in the show notes to, we want to warn you, potentially outdated info from the Paralympics website on where to watch and listen to the Paralympics. So we hope that you will join us in watching these incredible athletes do incredible things in Italy. Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment that we call the burn pile, where we pile up all the things we've hated in this week in sports and set them aflame. It feels like a particularly bonfire-y week in sports. So, Linz, why don't you get us started?
Yeah. So I was actually originally.
You have to like sigh before you start. It's
Sorry,
like, here we go.
This is just. I was going to initially, my plan a couple days ago when I was in the dock was to do the WNBA and this labor negotiation, but we're going to focus on that. I'm going to do a bonus episode on that, so stay tuned. But, on Sunday after the USA beat Canada and I was riding the men to, match the women, I was riding high. It was a great game. I was excited that they won. And then my excitement was taken away. If you haven't seen Kash Patel, the FBI director, who has a very serious job and very serious to-do list, was in the locker room celebrating with these guys, shotgunning beers. He he is someone who is actively not investigating the murders in Minneapolis right now by ICE agents. He has taken a lot of actively evil steps himself in the last couple months. It is not hard to find. There's no plausible deniability. So just seeing them celebrate with him was disgusting. But the real thing that got me was the phone call. So Trump calls in and is congratulating the men for winning the gold. And he says, I want to have you for the State of the Union. And then he goes, and so, I'll have to invite the women's team too. And everyone laughs. All the men laugh. He goes, I'd probably get impeached if I didn't. And there was something.
If only.
Yeah,
Sorry.
if only. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
One
go
can
ahead.
hope. There's something about obviously the depravity of Trump, obviously the insecurity to have to use this moment to denigrate women. But that laughter from the room, I think it's something that all women are familiar with, especially if you're in women's sports. Just the laughter at the notion that you should be taken seriously. And that's what this laughter was. This laughter was so demeaning. The joke was so cruel and unnecessary. And he went out of his way to belittle women in the moment while he was congratulating the men. And that laughter, it's going to haunt me, and I, I'm not going to call out these men individually. I know they're in a weird position. But I think every woman knows about that laughter, the laughter at the very thought that you should be given respect. And that's what that was. And that was coming from the president of the United States, and it was coming from the men's hockey team. And there are people defending it. And I want to throw it on the burn pile. And also, I'm just sick of these guys in the Trump administration ruining all the fun moments. Go away.
Yeah, no shit. Yes.
Burn.
Yes. Burn. Shireen, what are you burning?
Along the lines of hockey again, but something a little bit different. And for everybody, all the flamethrowers listening, I'm fine. I promise I'm fine as we talk about hockey. Marie-Philippe Poulin is arguably the best women's hockey player in the entire world. She's a silver medalist in the most recent games, captain of the Canadian women's hockey team. She was born in Quebec City and grew up in Beauceville, Quebec. So her language that she speaks is French, which is ironically, the IOC has two official languages, English, and guess what the other one is? French. So during the post-game presser, when she was posed a question by a French-speaking journalist, she began to reply in French. She was stopped. They were like, no, questions in English, answers in English only, please.
Who stopped her?
Yeah, a press officer at the IOC.
Or the moderator, yeah.
The moderator
Sheesh.
stopped her. And look, I understand that there's a lot of languages, but bro, the IOC's official languages are literally French and English.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stunning. And it did create a massive ripple effect in Quebec as people were like, look, that our like rights of French-speaking rights in Quebec are a huge issue and they remain politically for a long time. But this was garbage on a variety of reasons. Like, look, it's literally a place where people come together with all kinds of different languages. And if you can't handle it, fix that. That sounds like a skill issue, IOC. Fix this. She should, I'm sorry, you know how I feel about languages. You should be able to speak in whatever language you want and get a translator there for everybody. That's how I feel about it. Anyways, all of this to say, the COC took it extremely seriously. And, it's just the director of communication for the COC, Vanessa Lee, called it unacceptable and in a statement to CBC News. And it was like so important. The IOC responded, said there was an issue with interpretation that day. I'm sorry. It's the final of the women's hockey. Okay. You know what the makeup of that team looks like. You know there are French speakers on Team Canada. Arrange and fix yourselves, IOC. I found this terrible. Allez-y, on brûle. So everybody's going to say brûle on 3. It means burn in French. So we're going to burn this in French. Okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Blue.
really
I love
tried.
Yeah.
You
have
really
to
threw
prepare
that
us.
at us,
You have
Shereen.
to prepare Shereen. Like,
On
oh,
the
and we're on
twat.
video. All of our
I
little
just thought of
eyes.
it right now, and it,
It was
made
really
sense
good. It
to
was
me.
a
Good idea.
Good idea.
Put me
All
in.
right. So this is not a complicated burn, but it does look forward to the next Olympics. Casey Wasserman, who is most known for his sports and entertainment talent agency that carries his name, is chair of the LA Olympics, which is a public-facing position. He was also a frequent emailer with Jeffrey Epstein's right-hand accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is currently serving a prison sentence for child sex trafficking. His emails with her are sexual in nature, and I'm not going to read them. I'm sad I even looked at them to prep for this. Wasserman says his entire relationship with her was one humanitarian trip to Africa and some emails that he now regrets. It's been enough, though, for clients to flee from Wasserman and for him to announce that he will sell the agency since he now only mainly serves as a distraction. Lots of politicians, including LA Mayor Karen Bass, which, like, if you're on the other side from her, like, okay, have called for him to resign from his position as the chair of the LA Olympics Committee, a job that is, I'm going to say it again, public facing. He is the face of the 2028 LA Olympics in this position. The LA 28 board, though, stands behind Wasserman. On Monday of this week, the CEO of the LA Games told Reuters that his support for Wasserman is unwavering. The CEO basically said that sponsors don't seem to care, so why should he? That is so bleak. This is one of those moments where it's like, is this the only guy capable of doing this job? Is he it? If Wasserman understands that he can no longer be the public face of his eponymous agency, why doesn't that extend to the Olympics? Yet again, I'm just flummoxed as to why this man deserves this protection and this support in this moment. I guess Wasserman and Trump will have something in common they can talk about whenever they meet in the run-up to the Olympics, and that's really cool. Cool. You can hear more on this in Amira's bonus interview with Jules Boykoff, but for now, I just want to burn all of this inaction around Wasserman and the LA Olympics, so burn.
Burn.
All right, Amira. Where are you taking us?
Well, a few days ago, while taking a break from making terrible phone calls and misogynistic jokes to the U.S. men's hockey team and also posting memes of himself as a hockey player, body checking Canadian hockey players, the president somehow found time to have the inaugural Board of Peace meeting, which is, again, the bullshit Board of Peace that came after the bullshit Peace Prize that FIFA bestowed on him. So at this inaugural Board of Peace meeting, which, if you recall, the Board of Peace has, let's say, intriguing makeup. Most famously, or most controversially, of course, on this Board of Peace, there is Israeli representation, but no Palestinian representation, despite the fact that their main peace movement right now is about restoration in Gaza. So why would you need a Palestinian at the table, apparently? And so this bullshit Board of Peace meeting featured the one and only Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president.
Obviously.
Infantino took part of this meeting as they dreamt up where to put new soccer pitches in Gaza together, while he wore a red hat that said USA on the front, and on the side said 45-47. If you were wondering if this perhaps violated the IOC's Rule 50 and condition of political neutrality, well, don't worry, guys. They looked into it, and they have cleared him of violating the IOC's
I feel
condition
fine
of
about
political.
that then.
Yeah.
Then
Good.
never mind.
Good.
What are we even doing
Yeah.
here?
You know? So the IOC spokesperson said the IOC has been in contact with FIFA, her favorites, just getting together on a little chatty call, and said, we understand
One
that
big
FIFA...
Ponzi scheme.
I know. We understand that FIFA is supporting, through football, a comprehensive sport recovery investment program in Gaza by providing infrastructure, education, and elite development proposals. This is entirely in keeping with the role of an international sport federation, and therefore, this is no problem. I can't begin to count the ways I'm frustrated at this. One, the fact that this bullshit board of peace that has done both the Trump administration has undermined actual responsible agencies that's actually trying to do work and get aid to Palestine, and now you're taking up space with your bullshit like, I'm very irritated about the board of peace in general. I'm very irritated about Infantino sitting there in his stupid little fucking red hat. I'm very, very irritated that the IOC looked at that, saw his red hat with his damn 45-47 and said, that's completely political neutral. Like, what is political neutrality if it's not wearing a motherfucking hat while glazing Trump on a fucking stage of a made-up award that you gave him with a made-up board of peace to do bullshit work? Like, this is the work we are in the worst timeline. Like, it makes me so disgustingly mad. It is just, again, in a long line of organizations who also investigate their fucking selves. Like, whether it's LA 28 investigating Wasserman and being like, actually, we're good with it. Brenda, I'm sure we'll talk about this in her burn next. And here you have the IOC being like, there's nothing to see here. Fuck all of them. I'm just done with it. Burn it down.
Burn. All right, Bren, bring us home. What's on your burn pile?
What is on my burn pile is an incident of racial abuse that happened last week to Vinicius Jr. I'm just going to list the things that I want to burn because that's also the only way I'll stay focused and not just spontaneously explode.
I love a list.
Yes, these are my lists. I want to burn the racial abuse hurled at Real Madrid football player Vinicius Jr. last week during a match played against Portuguese team Benfica, perpetrated by Gianluca Prestiani of Argentina. I would like to burn the reaction of Benfica coach Jose Mourinho, who blamed Vinny's goal celebration instead of racism. I would like to burn the posts and the articles that have defended Gianluca. I would like to burn the sentiment that all Argentines are racist since it hurts those grassroots organizations working against racism in Argentina. And I would like to burn the argument that Vinny is privileged and opportunistic. It shouldn't matter, but he was a resident of the same academy where 10 boys died in a Flamengo fire in 2019 because of unsafe and crowded conditions. I would like to burn all of those things. We should be celebrating and marveling at Vinicius Jr.'s bravery and the commitment that he has shown and his commitment to the game to have to play through this and his commitment to humanity and human rights by calling out this racism all the time, which only causes further abuse. So I want to burn all those things. Burn.
Burn.
Now we want to highlight some of the people carrying the torch and changing sports culture. First up, we want to name and recognize 15 people who have supported our Kickstarter at the Light a Torch level. We are so thankful for your support. If you'd like to hear your name in the Torchbearer segment, there is still time to contribute to our Kickstarter. It is live until March 4th. So thank you to these Torchbearers.
Michelle Goike, Ian Vinegar, Amy Chapman,
Kizzo, Jessica Flanders, Allison Fuselier,
Amber Wilson, Elsie, Brandon Harrington,
Stan Pugliese, Howard Megdal, and Ann Gershenson.
Luke Thompson, Allison Gale, and Lynn.
Again, thank you all so much for your support of Burn It All Down. All right, who's up next, Shireen?
Honorable mentions. Shout out to Swiss commentator, bobsled commentator Stefan Reina, who used his play-by-play time during the four-man bobsled competition to critique the Israeli team and question their participation live on the broadcast, something that was completely unprecedented. Reina noted in his commentary that the sled's pilot identified himself as a Zionist and said, quote, he has posted several messages on social media supporting genocide in Gaza. It should be noted that the term genocide is the one used by the UN Commission of Inquiry. Edelman stated that the military intervention was the most just and moral war in history, according to him, end quote. Reina said that the IOC has a rule against athletes participating who have purported and supported war, either military or through their social media accounts. So the entire time that this race is happening, Reina goes on basically a soliloquy about this, which was beautiful and music to my ears and wonderful. And he was not fired despite the outcry. I don't even know if he was reprimanded, but I just wanted to shout that out because truly Stefan Reina was saying the things that everybody is thinking.
Lindsay?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Hillary Knight and Brittany Bowe. Hillary Knight, of course, for her phenomenal performance and winning gold, but mainly for the two Olympians who got engaged at the Olympics. And Hillary proposed to Brittany, and they shared it on social media. And it was so amazing to see not only their love story come full circle because they met at the Olympics back in 2018 and started dating after the last Olympics, but also to see them boldly share their love and their story at a time that is very scary for the LGBTQ community. And that representation matters a lot. So thank you to them.
Amira?
Yeah, Laura Mueller and Hannah Schmitz are set to become the first women to have a F1 circuit corner named after them. If you don't know, it's tradition in Formula One to name corners or parts of racetracks after influential people in the world of motorsport. Laura Mueller became the first full-time female race engineer in F1 history last year when she joined Haas as the race engineer to Esteban Ocon. And Hannah Schmitz is the head of race strategy at Red Bull, who has been a crucial part of their dominance over the last few years. Both of them will have part of the circuit in Australia named after them at the upcoming Australian Grand Prix. It's a partnership between Engineers Australia and the Australian Grand Prix Corporation, which is called In Her Corner Initiative, which is hoping to increase the number of girls and women involved in motorsport, specifically on the engineering side. And when they get the corner of the circuit named after them, it will be International Women's Day. So congratulations to Hannah and Laura for making F1 history.
Flavor Flav is once again supporting women's sports with both his money and his hype. He was out there for the bobsledders and the skeleton racers. This time, though, he's stepping up after the disrespect shown to the U.S. women's hockey team by the president and the men's hockey team. Flav invited the team, the women, to Las Vegas to celebrate their victory with him. I cannot wait to see the videos that we get from this. Can I get a drum roll, please? Brenda, who is our torchbearer this week?
The torchbearer of the week has to be Alana Myers-Taylor. Woo! She won her first, yes, Shireen, who won her first gold medal in the monobob, just edging out Germany's Laura Nolte. She celebrated that moment with her two kids, Nico and Noah, and their nanny, Macy. It was so beautiful. Myers-Taylor now has 1 gold, 3 silvers, and 2 bronzes, which makes her the most decorated bobsledder of all time and the most decorated Black athlete in Winter Olympics history. At 41, she is also now the oldest Winter Olympic champion. And she's a flamethrower. So that is a thrill for us here at Burn It All Down.
You should have seen the group chats. It was epic, except for Brenda, who was probably watching it later. Brenda watches everything on tape delay.
There was a lot of crying. A lot of happy crying.
I was in a writing group and my friend screenshotted my reaction. I'm going to send it to our group chat now because I realized I never did. So you just have to see. He caught me exactly when she won.
So can we all, though, say a congratulations all at once, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations. We tried it.
We love you,
all
Alana.
feel it. Mwah.
That's it for this episode of Burn It All Down. But the best news is that we will be back for a brand new season of Biad starting in June. This is one last plug for our Kickstarter, which runs through March 4th. The more we can raise now, the more episodes we can promise in the future. There will be bonus content between now and June when our main episodes kick off. To make sure you see all of that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link is in our show description. Some of that content will make it to our audio feed, but it will always show up first and for sure on on YouTube. This episode was produced by the great and lovely Martin Kessler.
Woo!
Lauren Croft does our social media. Follow Burn It All Down on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, X, and Facebook. Listen, subscribe, and rate the show wherever you listen, be it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, or TuneIn. To stay up to date on Burn It All Down and the hosts, subscribe to our newsletter. The link for that is in our show description. The other place to find all of this info and a link to our merch is at burnitalldownpod.com. All right, team, that's it for now, but not for good. We'll be back soon. And as always, burn on and not out.